I worry. So my dad, when he came here, both my parents are doctors, but when you come here, and they were recruited to come here because America generally has a shortage of physicians. We
Yeah.
don't produce enough physicians for our population.
Interesting.
So that's why even now we recruit doctors out of Iran and India and China and lots of places.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't actually know that.
and yeah, we don't make enough we don't produce enough doctors in our country to serve our population any year. We have almost a 1/3 shortage all the time.
Interesting.
So my parents were recruited to come here, and my dad, while he was doing his residency, and we're talking about the late 70s, and I don't know who knows about what New York City subways were like in the late 70s,
I've
but
heard stories.
not like they are now.
Yeah.
And my dad, between his residency shifts where they would make $0 for 12 million hours of work, he would sell candy in the subway to make ends meet, because he had my mom, me, and his parents also came to America when he did. So there were 5 of us, and American
That's
society has decided that a family is parents and children.
Mm-hmm.
And so my family would continuously have trouble finding an apartment because we were considered a multi-family family, because my grandparents, and so there were a lot of people who didn't want to rent to my parents because they had multiple families in the same apartment, which is not true. It's just for me,
parents.
Right. For me, that's always been normal. I've always lived with my grandmother. And my parents are moving in with us now. Like, to me, that's just like what a family unit looks like.
Yeah.
And so when I say, there's nuance to be had about race also, because there's a reason that what my definition of a family looks like is not what.
For sure.
Yeah. But regardless, like, we had trouble getting an apartment. But when we finally did, to make ends meet, my dad had to sell candy in the subway to pad his residency salary to pay for the apartment.
That's crazy.
And then that absolutely does trickle down to me, right? So me, my sister, my brother, we're all like always hustling. Like, we're always thinking about investing and how to make. I 100% worry that one of the reasons that is true for me is that I remember being poor, and I remember seeing my parents struggle. My children have never been poor, and my children have never seen me struggle. Not really.
Yeah.
To my children, comfort is normal. And while I will do my best to instill hustle in them, the fact that their life is so comfortable, I absolutely worry that they will become eventually just established Americans who don't have that immigrant hustle.
Yeah. This is really more of a question of, are you soft or are you hard? Like, which upbringing did you get?
I think that sometimes when people say they want to like toughen up their kids, I think it also makes them a little cynical and a little negative, and that's not at all. Like, my parents definitely raised, I don't know, maybe they didn't raise me to be tough. Maybe I just came out this way. I don't know. But I don't think toughness has to come with the negatives of like not trusting people or not, I want my kids to, like, you heard of growth mindset, or first fixed mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying. You don't have to. Yeah. Well, I think those are two different things though. Like, what I want someone to be hard mentally, like in their head. I don't want them to necessarily be hard end, which is like, closed up and like guarded and like, you're always going to hurt me and you're always going to do this.
I think that's more trauma than anything.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's more trauma.
Yeah. That's
trauma.
That's its own like level of trauma. But I guess I should clarify. And what's funny is at any point in time, someone could be like, I feel like canceling pie. And I'm just going to take one little sentence from this podcast. And they're just going to.
I'm giving you the opportunity to clarify.
Yeah, cancel away. You guys can do whatever you want. But the difference between like mentally hard, where you're willing to do what it takes, versus hard end, where like I think you're closed off.
I think
that's what I'm trying to distinguish between.
All the hustle.
Yes.
like installed drive.
This is what I want for what's in between here to be trained and to be hardened. The brain, not because like, come on, dude. Like, how old are your kids?
They are 8 and almost 11.
Okay. Have your kids tried to do anything physically difficult yet?
Yes.
Okay. What do they say?
I can't do it.
Yeah.
No, we have that conversation consistently where it's like you can literally do anything if you keep trying. And we have it in pretty big context where we're like, you were born into like opportunity. So you can't take that for granted. Like if something is hard for you, you just have to keep trying because you have nothing but opportunity. Like you have no excuse, buddy. Like try it again.
And I would also add to that like it's not just okay. So when like I'll go out running and the kids will, follow me, and then, not a quarter mile into it, they'll be like, Papa, I'm tired. My legs are hurting. I'm getting sore. It hurts. They think that that's when you stop, when in reality, that pain and what you're feeling is when you keep going.
Yeah.
And like, there's such a difference I find in people that are instilled with like, when you meet resistance, that's when you're doing something good. That's when you need to push through versus others who meet resistance and they discontinue.
I don't like worry. I remember seeing my parents worry about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I never want to worry about money.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of my drive has come from just making sure that we are always secure. And that like needing security and wanting to provide security is a lot of what my currency is. And then also being able to have enough that I can help other people.
Don't you think that currency and you're actually saying currency as a currency, like the need to be secure, right? Don't you feel like that drive comes from being without? Like I have so many friends that grew up in homes where they're very wealthy and they never got the career or professional drive to actually make money because they don't need to. So they just end up kind of wandering for decades.
And to be clear, my parents I never lived in a situation where my parents let me feel like I wasn't secure, but I did, children see everything you're doing. I did see when they would struggle. Like I knew I was always going to be okay, but I did see how hard they worked to make sure that happened.
Yeah.
And I saw how difficult it became for them at times to make sure that I never worried about it. And that definitely instilled in me that I don't want my kids to worry about it. I always want to make sure that like we're on secure financial family. All of that is always good. And so I think that like that is, I feel like you are very clear on how the things that like you or Justin, like how that got there for you. And for me, I've always thought like that I learned it from seeing how difficult it can be. And so that's why I worry, because I have to find a new way to teach these kids because they're not going to see that. They don't see they don't see how difficult it can be because my business struggled before they were born.
Yeah.
By the time they were born, I was okay.